Please take your seats. The meeting is about to begin. Remember to speak into the microphone, as this meeting is being recorded for public record. Please stand by. We are going on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. This is Commissioner Laura Dominguez, Chair of the Public Safety and Neighborhood Quality of Life Committee, and I'm joined by my colleague, the Vice Chair, Commissioner Alex Fernandez, and Commissioner Kristen Rosen Gonzalez is out today. We're joined by the fabulous Stephanie Ray Brooks, our Assistant City Manager, Mark Taxes, and our Deputy City Attorney, Rob Rosenwald. And with that, Stephanie, are there any announcements today?
Yes, good morning. We have a couple of announcements. As you all know, this meeting will be held hybrid via Zoom. You could call in. Members of the committee will be in person. You could call in by dialing 312-626-6799 or joining our Zoom link. Also, we have a time certain of 10 a.m., which will be item number 21, and we will be deferring item number, sorry about that. Item number 11, discuss the police department's minimum age and educational requirements for the hiring of certified police officers and police officers trainees. So we will be able to start the meeting.
Madam-
21?
Madam Chair, and I just want to for the record, at around 11 a.m., I'm going to have to step out, probably for about 30 minutes or so. So I don't know if it would be possible through the attorney, if the committee could take a recess at that time, given that we're short in members. Could we take a recess and then reconvene, of course, to the chair's prerogative?
Happy to do it.
Yes, if the chair wishes to do it, you certainly can.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so our first item will be item number 21, a discussion regarding co-naming the portion of 28th Street from Sheridan Avenue to Prairie Avenue in honor of late Rabbi Isorel Gross. This was sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez, and Transportation will be presenting the item.
Commissioner Fernandez, Vice Chair, please tee this up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And today, I'm asking the committee, in accordance to our city code, to consider a meaningful proposal to co-name a portion of 28th Street in honor of the late Rabbi Gross. He was a spiritual leader in our community, a Holocaust survivor, a devoted husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, someone that I think our community came to admire and respect and honor as someone whose life embodied resilience, kindness, unwavering faith. And so I think I speak on behalf of many in our community who respected this godly figure in our community. I speak on behalf of them today, asking the committee's consideration in naming this portion of 28th Street where he lived with his wife in his honor.
I'm happy to move the item and by acclamation.
Madam Chair, if I may, just to clarify one point, for this item to be heard this month, the motion would need to include for the City Commission to consider a resolution at its May 21st City Commission meeting.
Stephanie, can we do that?
Yes, we could do that.
Okay. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Item 22.
Item number 22 is discuss the timeline for construction of Miami Beach Convention Center Headquarter Hotel and anticipated opening date. This was sponsored by Commissioner Dominguez and co-sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez.
Okay. Hi there. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Give us the update, please.
We are happy to report that we're working on the foundations. Gurkhas files are in process.
And Friday is a big deal.
Friday is a big deal. We're doing the groundbreaking
Put the mic
ceremony.
closer to you. Thank you.
Yes, on Friday we will have the groundbreaking ceremony, but we're working on the auger cast piles. As you're aware, we can hear it from here.
And what's the first milestone, and what will the date be for that milestone completion?
We will be working on foundations until the end of August, and we will be able to see vertical construction in September. And we're tracking well for the target dates that we have already shared before. building top out in July 2026, and then substantial completion in September 2027, and hotel opening in November 2027. Okay?
Commissioner Fernandez, any questions? Okay, thank you for the update, much appreciated. See you Friday. Okay, so we'll
Will
continue.
we have this item returning to?
Can we, let's see, we are in, May, can we have it return in July to see if the foundation was finished and we're on schedule for September vertical? Okay, see you in July.
We will skip item number 20 as per the sponsor, Commissioner Bat. We'll move it to the end of the meeting. And we will hear item number 28, which is discuss the potential implementation of a bicycle lane on the west side of Collins Avenue as part of an upcoming Florida Department of Transportation resurfacing, restoration, and rehabilitation project on State Road A1A Collins Avenue from State Road 907 West 63rd Street to 75th Street. And this was sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez, and presenting will be Transportation.
Commissioner Fernandez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is an item that has been long in the works and long in the making to hopefully complete a plan where we can have connectivity of bicycle facilities all the way from South Beach to as far north up to 75th Street. As many people are seeing along the Indian Creek pathway, we have bicycle facilities being constructed from 23rd Street all the way to 41st Street. We have the Collins Avenue multimodal corridor that's going to create connectivity from 41st Street to 63rd Street. But then we need to finish that connectivity for our residents going north of 63rd Street to connect up to North Beach. And our transportation department has been working closely with the Florida Department of Transportation on its resurfacing, restoration, and rehabilitation project for Collins Avenue to see how we could possibly accommodate a bicycle lane on going north of 63rd Street. Many options have been presented over the period of time that I've been working on this. One of the options included the removal of parking to accommodate bicycle lanes. We listened to the community, we listened to the businesses, and we understood the impact that could have on the success of those businesses. And we went back to the drawing board to explore other alternatives. I believe our department held a meeting recently to discuss further options of possibly implementing the bicycle lane on the west side of Collins Avenue by possibly eliminating small amounts of sidewalk to be able to preserve sidewalk, to preserve parking, and implement a new and safe bicycle lane. So with that, I'm going to transfer it to Jose Gonzalez, our Director of Transportation.
Thank you, Commissioner, and good morning, Madam Chair. So as you pointed out, Commissioner, we've been working with FDOT for some time with the goal of trying to accommodate a bike lane along Collins Avenue from 63rd to 75th with minimal impact to on-street parking. We understand how valuable that those on-street parking spaces are to the businesses along the corridor. So based on a meeting that we had recently with FDOT, it was a very productive meeting. They are open and receptive to the option that we presented before you all, I think it was a month or two ago, which entails a reconstruction of the sidewalk to try to reduce it as needed to accommodate about at most a 7-foot bike lane for the bike lane to be protected. That's for the bike lane to be protected, and it's always good to try to protect bike lanes when possible. So they did a very high level analysis of the corridor and believe that, it is doable. It would, however, require a whole different project, a whole different scope. It's a reconstruction project versus what they are proposing to move forward with, which is a resurfacing. That area of Collins Avenue, the asphalt is not in very good shape, so it does need to be resurfaced. FDOT would like to continue with the resurfacing project, which is going to, among just, in addition to just resurfacing the roadway, it will also enhance pedestrian crosswalks, ADA curbs, upgrade ADA curbs and repair sidewalks that, as we all know, that area of Collins has a lot of cracks, a lot of settlement in the sidewalks. So those are very needed improvement that we do believe that FDOT should move forward with sooner rather than later and not defer the project. So what FDOT is proposing is to move forward with this resurfacing project without a bike lane at this time, and on a parallel track program, a future project with protected bike lanes, which is going to entail, it's a more complex project and financially also much more expensive than the budget that they currently have. What we discussed with them is having a joint meeting. And we've targeted June 4th to have that community meeting to more or less, lay out the options and the action plan to ultimately accommodate a bike lane on Collins Avenue in North Beach, because as you pointed out, Commissioner, it is a critical link to our citywide bicycle network. So it's a very important project.
And one of the great things about this is that not only will we be providing for a safer bicycle facility, but proceeding with this option will give us the opportunity to team up with FDOT to restore some of these sidewalks that need to be restored in North Beach. And I think we all hear from our residents about, especially in the North Beach area on the Collins Avenue corridor. I've had residents that have reached out to me that have fractured their foot and had injuries on the sidewalks over there. And so it gives us an opportunity not only to enhance our bicycle infrastructure and provide connectivity, but go back and fix sidewalks, work on curb and gutter and drainage modifications and other necessary infrastructure. And so while it might not be as immediate of a result as it would have been otherwise, this does give us the opportunity to start planning for a pivotal project that will deliver even much more than what we had originally intended. Madam Chair, I don't know if you're so inclined, I'd like to recommend that we proceed and continue exploring option number 2, but I don't know what the administration needs, if this needs to go back to the City Commission, what type of further action would be needed from this committee?
So FDOT is requesting a resolution from our City Commission in order to know how to, they want to receive direction from the city in terms of how to best move forward. And as you well pointed out, Commissioner, we also agree with what you just stated. The best plan forward is for FDOT to move forward with their planned improvements to resurface the roadway, upgrade the sidewalks, the ADA curbs, the drainage, and the lighting. And then the bicycle piece, because that will require a full reconstruction of the corridor and just a redesign of the sidewalk areas, that would be a separate standalone project that we would work with them to expedite. But in the meantime, the direction would be for FDOT to move forward with the resurfacing project.
Okay. And when is the meeting? It's June 4th?
June 4th.
June 4th. So I think it would be great if we could make a motion, sending back to the City Commission a recommendation to support the resurfacing project.
May 21st?
Well, whichever would be appropriate. I don't know if FDOT needs this from the May 21st meeting or perhaps to the June meeting.
June would work, yes.
And then perhaps at our next meeting, Madam Chair, we can continue the conversation about option 2, about the sidewalks, so that we can get the feedback from our June 4th community meeting. Would that make sense?
I believe so. It depends on the timing of the PSNQLC meeting, but we'll try to.
Yeah. And if it's not June, then it's July.
Okay.
Yeah. That way we still keep the item on committee relating to the long-term sidewalk improvements, the curb and gutter, the drainage, and most importantly, the incorporation of the bicycle lane.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Our next item is,
So just to make sure the direction is clear, the item stays at committee. We have a resolution going to the June meeting as to the resurfacing project. And then after the June 4th community meeting, will bring back the findings of the June 4th community meeting for the long-term implementation of the sidewalk improvements and the bicycle lane.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, our next item will be item number 17, discuss developing a comprehensive citywide plan to commemorate and elevate Black History Month annually. This was sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez and co-sponsored by Commissioner Ball, and Tourism will be presenting the item.
Hi, Lisette.
Up, your mic.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioner Fernandez, Lisette Arrogante, Director of Tourism and Culture, Miami Beach. The item, this is Commissioner Fernandez, co-sponsored by Commissioner Magazine, as stated. This is an item, referral to discuss a comprehensive citywide plan commemorating and elevating Black History Month annually. Sure. In the package before you, you will see that the city already does a comprehensive list of events, notifications, pretty much answering most of the what was asked in the plan, which were the elements were celebrating Black history role models, supporting Black-owned businesses, consultation with Black Affairs Advisory Committee. Through the Black Affairs Advisory Committee, we commemorate annually during Black History Month a member of the community that's had a significant impact. We have a list there in your package starting in 2022 through the last one here in 2025. Supporting Black-owned businesses. In August is Black Business Month. We do partner with the GMCBB, and we elevate Black-owned businesses, especially during Miami Spice, to make sure that they get recognition. I'm sorry. Also, events. Have you seen from when we first started in when I started here 5 years ago, it's grown in partnership with our colleagues in Parks and Recreation. They've been doing Black History Month in North Shore Open Space Park for a multitude of years. Tourism and Culture jumped in on that. Citywide, we had 10 events. Of those 10, 5 were city produced from Tourism and Culture, partnership with Parks and Recreation. And that's pretty much it.
And thank you so much, Lisette. I would love for this, has this memo been shared with our Black Affairs Advisory Committee?
I did mention it to them at the last committee meeting that this was going to come up. And they also put it out at LTC. So a few things. As far as notification of all of these things that I just mentioned, the city does an LTC. We also do, I believe, a press release. And then in addition to that, the Black Affairs Advisory Committee, they make a motion in February notifying the City Commission of all the events that are happening citywide during Black History Month. But yes, I gave them legislative updates.
Okay, great. And they've reviewed this memo.
They did not review this particular memo, but they are aware, and I did discuss in detail with them, because we do ask them to, we present to them the programming that's going to happen prior to 4 to 5 months. So
Sure.
around October, we present, this is our plan for Black History Month. They give us input, and they give us, the thumbs up to move forward. So they are including.
Hands-on.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Lisette.
Thank you, sir.
So what needs to happen?
I think let's just keep this for now, because I think I would love, Lisette, if you just could actually share the physical memo with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I would just, out of respect to them. The committee does great work, and I'd be remiss if I don't give a shout out to the chair, Glendon Hall, who really does put his heart into the work of this committee, and all the members, including Bibi Andrade, the vice chair, and so many others who really put passion into this work, and it's important. And I just want to make sure that it's that they are comfortable with the work that our city is doing, and if there's room for improvement and they want to provide us with that feedback, the committee is always very welcome to provide it.
I also want to add that this year, for the first time, they actually had their own event, which was Never Drop the Ball. We had a documentary that was screened at Soundscape Park. We had a panel discussion, and that was one initiative that was led strictly by the BAAC with support from City Services.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lisette.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, item 18.
Okay, for the record, we will keep this item and we will have it returned, or are we gonna conclude this item? The Black.
So we're gonna have it returned, and she's going to send the info to the Black Affairs Committee, for their review and input.
Okay. Number 18 is discuss designated an area around the Normandy Fountain to display art. Normandy Fountain Business Association to curate. This was sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez and co-sponsored by Commissioner Bell and Tourism. will be
Commissioner
presenting.
Fernandez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is an item I placed on the agenda recognizing the great work that the Normandy Fountain Business Association does. They've been great partners of the City of Miami Beach and have activated the fountain with great community activities. And they approached me seeking the opportunity to curate art around the fountain, similar to how other business associations and business improvement districts have done in their areas. At a time when we want to continue supporting North Beach, elevating opportunities for the community to enjoy the businesses of the area, I thought that this was a welcomed request by a trusted community partner, and I see the administration has prepared some recommendations, so I'd like to pass it over to Lisette to present their item.
Thank you, sir. So this item is coming back. We were here in March 12th, neighborhoods meeting. Your recommendation was for us to exactly identify what locations in the Normandy Fountain Plaza were being identified to present artwork by the association. So that's the update in your package. You see there is a map that has the two locations, and it's one is more on the west side of the fountain, and the other one is more on the east side. The one thing that we have added as a recommendation, based on your feedback, this committee's feedback at the March 12th meeting, was to remove the AIPP review, but we have added to at least have it at the director level from the Tourism and Culture Department for appropriateness, just making sure that the artwork that's being displayed in the public is of appropriate nature.
Okay, great. So this is a collaboration between the Normandy Fountain Business Association and our Tourism and Culture Department to curate the art.
Correct, and I believe David Sexton might be on the line. I'm not sure, Steph, if he was having a little bit of an issue logging in, but he is, I believe he's hearing at least.
I don't see that he's on the line.
It's okay.
Okay, great. Well, it's a streamlined process, and we're pretty much putting the process in the hands of the community. So, Madam Chair, unless you have any questions, I'd like to move the item back to Commission for approval.
Okay, by acclamation. Okay.
Our next item will be item number 19, discuss potentially bringing food trucks to Collins Park. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez and co-sponsored by Commissioner Dominguez, and Tourism and Parks and Rec will be presenting this item.
Okay, I mean, I'll just briefly say that Ray Breslin and the Collins Park Neighborhood Association do so much for that area and activations. They brought this to us, they're excited about it, and I'd like to support them.
I think it's a great proposal from Collins Park, Madam Chair. We have already Liberty Plaza, where the Collins Park Neighborhood Association has been doing activations, and their vision is to be able to rotate food trucks on a monthly basis, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., so that those individuals who are either going to the library or individuals that are going to the ballet or the bass or the many cultural offerings that we have in the area, they want to be able to eat outdoors and just enjoy the park. They be able to, and it was a request of the association. Lisette, I think the recommendation of the administration is to do a pilot program where the association be the one to select the food trucks and allow them to rotate them.
Sure, thank you, sir. And the reason for that is that we don't do sole permits for food trucks. However, Collins Park Neighborhood Association has a master permit from which they activate their artscape programming. So under that master permit, we will be able to permit for them to have a rotating food truck program. And I think this also allows them to select what they like. If they don't like, they can switch it or, have that flexibility.
Okay, and when we say rotating, I think part of the vision that the association had was maybe having food trucks occasionally there on a weekly basis, or sometimes have a food truck that could be there for a month. Is that consistent with what the administration would allow?
It is allowable under their master permit, yes. And this is the same permit that you see, Lincoln Road, Normandy Fountain Business Association, so they are able to activate under that master permit.
Okay. With that, Madam Chair, I think we should make a motion to send back to the full commission a temporary pilot food truck program to be part of the Collins Park Neighborhood Association master permit.
Can we do it for May 21?
I'm not sure because that was already,
I see our Assistant City Manager shaking her head in the back, but for June, I guess.
Right, but then that means that they won't get it till July or August. It just delays it so much.
no, we can work with them. The master permit is very simple, so right on, in June meeting, when it gets adopted, they can kick it off immediately.
Well, it's the end of June, so they'd be losing a month and a half by not accommodating it for May 21st.
If you're able to get it for the May meeting, it'll be appreciated, and if not, for the June meeting.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Our next item is item number 1, a monthly update on the status of the Fifth Street pedestrian bridge and the Mondrian Hotel and Mirador Condominium Baywalk projects. This was sponsored by Commissioner Dominguez, and CIP will be presenting this item.
I have specific questions. So I know that the pedestrian bridge is under construction and they're doing that. On the Mondrian, I believe they've completed, and there is a question about the steps or connection and to the rest of the Baywalk, and that's what I want to know about. What's going on with that?
Good morning, Madam Chair. David Gomez, Director of Capital Improvements. You actually touched on two issues that are facing the Baywalk right now. One is the steps at the far north end. That is a connection to private property that does not keep the Baywalk from being open. The other issue is at the south end, the connection to the street end, which is the portion that we're working on completing so that we can open that segment. There was a concern about ADA access and clarity in the drawings. We did receive last week the revised drawings to be submitted for permit revision, and they are working on getting that into the building department so that we can proceed with completing that little connection piece. And it's really more about the ramp and access from the street end to the Baywalk itself.
And
the other
that's
portion.
for both the north and south connection?
That's for the very south connection at the street end.
Okay, what needs to happen for the steps on the north end?
The steps on the north end, we received notification from the developer last week that he would not be paying for those steps, that if the building wanted it, since it's a connection to the private property, then the building would have to fund that portion of the construction, which
How much is it?
I don't have direct knowledge of that. By hearsay, by chance, I've heard that it's in excess of $20,000, between $20,000 and $30,000. But I don't have confirmation of that cost.
Okay, our next meeting is, for neighborhoods here, is June 3rd. Can you have those figures
Absolutely.
for me by then?
Absolutely.
And then in the meantime, the south end connection is,
The south end connection, like I said, we received the drawings last week, and they should be submitted to the building department for revision so that we can get that inspected and completed.
okay. And then whatever happened to the no railings?
That's still in debate. We are pushing the developer to install the railings. There is a cost associated with that for the developer, so they're pushing back. But we are insisting that they need to be installed.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, well, thank you for the update, and we'll bring it back for June 3rd, please.
My pleasure.
Our next item is item number 2, discuss the Sister Cities Advisory Committee to discuss a possible city partnership with Lincoln Road Business Improvement District to create an annual Lincoln Road Mardi Gras Festival to launch in February 2026. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Dominguez and co-sponsored by Commissioner Ball. Economic Development will be presenting this item.
Okay, so we've had a discussion about it with the sister cities, and I've also had a meeting with Lincoln Road bid, and it doesn't seem like it's something to collaborate on. And Lincoln Road is going to proceed ahead with their ideas for Mardi Gras, and if a sister city wants to do something in Miami Beach at a different time, we welcome it. And if Lincoln Road or Economic Development wanted to give any comments, that's fine.
No, we're definitely open about Annabelle Yopes, Lincoln Road Business Improvement District. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and staff. We are definitely open to working with the committee to create a different event. We're excited to partner with them, and I think there was some great conversations during that meeting, but we definitely want to proceed with the property of doing a Mardi Gras. We feel that's going to really fuel the businesses as well as the community would enjoy having a Mardi Gras event on Lincoln Road.
Okay, so Rob, if I wanted to move forward, oh, did you have any comments, Vice Chair?
This is going to go through the budget, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for doing that. I think that this is the right process that you're proceeding with, bringing it through committee so that it can be placed through the full budget process as
Yes.
opposed to bringing a last minute item.
Absolutely. And that's why we started the process early. So we thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for listening to us, and hopefully
Yes.
we can work together on this property.
Yeah, so what I would like to do is, because this has evolved, and I think I might have a separate item, but if I don't, I'd like to move this to the budget process for discussion on what Lincoln Road would need in order to have Mardi Gras in 2026. I know that they mentioned $50,000 for the different activations, and then also $54,000 worth of police, sanitation, and that bit.
So what the committee would want to do is take a vote, if you decided to do so, to send it back to the city commission with a positive recommendation.
Nope, just send it straight to the budget process.
That's not something that's within your power. You have the power to send it back to the city commission.
Didn't we discuss this
You
at our
can-
briefing, and I
you
was
can make
told
a
that, yes, I do?
Well, I think the misunderstanding was the process can be initiated to, instead of going to FERC, which may be a slower process, to go to the city's budget workshop. But the process to get that done is that it starts with this committee making a positive recommendation back to the city commission. And if you like, and a positive recommendation to start the budgeting process. And if you like, you can put a recommendation in there which arm of the budgeting process you would like it to go down, i.e. either going to FERC or going to the budget workshop. The city commission
But,
can.
we just had a conversation on this yesterday, so, yeah, so
Yeah,
let's
this is-
move this
this-
to the city commission so that it can then be voted on to go through the budget process, because I understand that FERC is overloaded, and this is for 2026, so there is a timeline, it's urgent.
So what you would be
We're
doing.
already, in May.
Right, and it's for, I'm just, the mechanics of doing exactly what you want to do are to make a positive recommendation back to the city commission with a recommendation that it go through the budgeting workshop process. And then the city commission, if the city commission was inclined to do that, we would draft a resolution sending it to the budgeting workshop rather than FERC.
Yeah, and the reason is, my understanding is FERC is very backlogged, and this has a timeline. For 2026, we had to start doing this yesterday, and we've been working on it for months, so it can't sit in FERC for 6 months. 'Cause
No, I
then
totally
we have to move
understand.
on to 2027.
So your recommendation will be to, if you wish to do so, to return it to the city commission with a positive recommendation to start the budgeting process for this event with a recommendation that it,
Not to start the budgeting process,
Well-
but to discuss it during the workshop to see if my colleagues agree with it.
to start the budgeting process by sending it to the budgeting workshop. And then the city commission will vote and decide whether they want to do that or not.
Mark?
Commissioner, I think what we can do is we can try to maybe possibly put an addendum on for this May meeting so we can get it before them quicker.
Okay, that sounds good. Are you in support?
I sure am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Item number 3, discuss and take action on the dying tree population in North Beach Oceanside Park. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez and co-sponsored by Commissioner Bott. Environmental and Sustainability will be presenting.
Hi. And are either commissioner online?
Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez is not online, but I spoke with Jackie, her aide, and she gave me the list of items that we could proceed.
Okay. Lindsay?
Good morning, Commissioners. Lindsay Preck, Deputy Resilience Officer and Assistant Director of Environment and Sustainability. Urban Forestry conducted an additional tree survey on April 23rd, and what that inspection showed is that 18 trees have made significant recovery since the November 2024 survey and are no longer on the list of defoliated trees. Unfortunately, 14 trees had been defoliated in previous inspections and have since not survived. And then we also identified 3 vandalized trees that were previously in good health. An additional palm tree was found dead, but it was not part of the project, but all require removal, and a proposal will be forthcoming to remove those trees. Overall, the project's updated tree survival rate, excluding the acts of vandalism, is 286 over 376 trees that were part of the urban forestry permit. So that's a 76% survival rate to date for the trees closest to the beach walk. That was updated from the 80% survivorship that was noted in the January public safety meeting. The next North Beach tree evaluation will be at the end of the rainy season, so in June we should see some additional trees that have refoliated seasonally now that we are in rainy season, and we've seen that that has started as of a couple days ago. And many are expected to generate new leaf growth as a result. The trees that remain defoliated at that time will be evaluated for their long-term sustainability.
Commissioner Fernandez?
What are we doing to water our trees? Because I see a lot of times we plant trees, and then what's obvious to me is that oftentimes there's no irrigation close by, and I don't see an active watering effort. And I don't know if North Beach Oceanside Park has irrigation as part of its infrastructure.
The way that it's typically designed is the beach walk separates the trees into 2 very distinct environments. One is on the dune side, the other is within the parks. The parks do have irrigation. The dune side was provided irrigation for the year warranty period, which is normal, and that's the FDEP standard. After that year period, it returns to its normal natural state and is expected to rely on the rainy season and those natural conditions.
And how is the irrigation provided during that 1-year warranty period?
David Gomez, Director of Capital Improvements. For this project, the contractor elected to install irrigation lines and connect those to the park irrigation system. So during that 1-year period, they used an automatic irrigation system.
And why wouldn't we continue those after that 1-year period so that we can, when it rains, but then when it doesn't rain, it's harsh out there. And it's no wonder that our plants suffer. It's only natural that they would. And so, why wouldn't we consider? And I understand the contractor's interest when their warranty is on the line. Of course, they don't want to have to replace the trees, and it's not their water; it's our water. But then after the warranty period, for us not to continue that type of watering might end up being a more costly situation for us.
FDEP typically is very restrictive of the structures that you can install in the dune system. So as this is part of the dune area, they don't allow irrigation systems. They allow it for establishment and for the first period of growth for the trees, and then they require the trees to be naturally self-sufficient.
But don't we have areas of the dune system where we do have irrigation?
There are old irrigation lines that were established as part of establishment periods, but they are shut off after that time.
And we can't seek a permit from FDEP to be able to have these lines there?
We can explore that option again. It was not afforded to us when we originally designed the beach walk system.
Because I do think that now we might have data, you know, a situation where we can show, you know, plantings that perhaps have suffered due to the lack of the watering, and perhaps, you know, it hurts when you see, you know, these plants just suffering there, and we can't do anything about it because we can't have the lines. But if it's allowed on a temporary basis to protect the interest of the contractor who has a warranty under the plants, why wouldn't FDEP allow it on a more permanent basis to protect the interest of the taxpayer that has to pay for the plants?
We will be happy to work with Environment and Sustainability and approach the state again. It's just typically not something they do, and they do afford the temporary installation so that the trees can be established and self-sufficient.
Let's look into this, because if we need to place something into our legislative agenda regarding this, you know, I think it's something that we should explore, because we have a lot of beachfront dunes, and a lot of them suffer during certain times of the year, and our residents complain about it. And it's something that I think, you know, we should be tackling.
Should it go to the June commission meeting?
Do we need this to go back to commission?
As far as approaching FDEP, I don't believe we need any resources other than some conversations at the moment.
All right. So perhaps keep
Close
this,
it? Oh.
or perhaps keep this in committee for now, just, you know, since staff is gonna reach out to FDEP about the issue of irrigation, which I mean, is that a contributing factor of what we're experiencing here?
It could be. The other contributing factors include the salt spray that these trees are experiencing up in North Beach. The trees that we've seen that have done well are protected by larger trees like sea grapes at the forefront of the dunes, you know, the beach side. So what we've seen is that the trees get consistent salt spray, and so they just get sheared off as a result.
That's where I would say, you know, I know a lot of times we like to go after invasive species. And this is going to sound horrible. You all are going to cringe at what I'm about to say. But if the non-invasive species are the ones to which this is its natural habitat are not resilient right now to that salt spray from the ocean, and they are suffering, yet the ones that are thriving are what we consider to be the invasive species, well, Mother Nature is telling us otherwise. Mother Nature is telling us, well, this is the species that is going to do well in this environment. And maybe, you know, I get when we're doing a new project, you know, you want to come in and put in new plantings that might be, you know, part of the natural habitat. But when we are just regular maintenance, I don't know if it's necessarily great to go in and then remove some of the invasive species that are actually thriving there and replace it with some of these other trees as part of a reforestation effort that then aren't as resilient.
I can speak to some of that. So we do have native trees that are doing well. So sea grapes are native, our buttonwoods are native. Our silver buttonwoods in particular are doing very well at handling the salt spray in addition to the sea grapes. The invasive species that we predominantly see within the dunes are Scaevola toccata, which is native to Hawaii. So it is accustomed to similar environments. However, their root systems are incredibly shallow and they don't offer the same level of upland protection that our native species would, like sea oats. And so when they are removed, it does allow us to go back and add native species that are better at protecting upland properties. So that's why we do remove them, and it is also both prohibited at the state and county level as well as in our dune management plan to have invasive species, so we do have to tackle them by law when we see them.
Maybe they can then, you know, tackle them for us. Because then if we remove them and so, anyways, We understand each other, yes. So it'd be great if this item could stay here as it relates to the issue of irrigation.
Yes,
Okay,
what
and
efforts can be
the
done.
next meeting is coming up pretty quickly, so why don't we do it for the July meeting to get an update then?
I was actually going to ask for a couple of months. FDP is not the
August,
fastest in responding.
September then?
Yeah,
September?
we have been alerted that their teams are significantly short-staffed, so it's taking a little bit longer for them to provide those updates. As part of this item, we also have an update coming up in later summer/early fall months regarding 5 pilot trees that Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez asked us to pilot up in North Beach. So that update would be coming at that future date as well.
Okay, thank you. So we'll bring it back to the September meeting and we'll take a recess for 30 minutes? Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
all right.
Thank you.
Please take your seats. The meeting is about to begin. Remember to speak into the microphone, as this meeting is being recorded for public record. Please stand by. We are going on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, thank you. We're returning from recess. And Stephanie, number 5?
All right, item number 5 is a monthly update on the status of an ongoing and future projects involving the use of the Leonard Horowitz color palette for Art Deco buildings restoration in collaboration with Barbara Hulenicki. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez, and Facilities and Fleet will be presenting the item.
Is the commissioner online?
She is not online.
Okay. Hi, Ron. How you doing?
Madam Chair, Ron Mumma, Director of Facilities and Fleet. I'm very happy to provide an update on using the Leonard Horowitz color palette in conjunction with Barbara Hulenicki and the Art Deco buildings. Facilities has 6 locations that were considered. Ocean Rescue Headquarters, which has now already been painted as of April 23rd. The Colony Theater is the second location. It does have a GeoBond project underway to install impact windows and paint the exterior, along with installing new awnings. So what the administration is recommending is that we get the windows installed first and then move toward painting the facility and then installing the awnings last. Which building? That's Colony Theater.
Colony.
At the Colony Theater.
And then the Anchor Garage and 13th Street Garage, we do have the color schemes proposed. Planning has approved those. We're just waiting for quotes to move forward to start that work as well. The Miami Beach Bandshell is the 5th location. Also has a GeoBond project, so we'll coordinate the expansion there with CIP before we move toward painting that location. And lastly, the Historic City Hall, which Historic City Hall is a Spanish-style architecture, not Art Deco. So both planning and facilities, we're recommending that that not be painted in the Art Deco scheme. It is currently under an expansion, or not expansion, but renovation of the exterior. So we plan to repaint that to match the existing color scheme.
Okay. For the Colony Theater, are there dates? Like, is there a timeline that we can expect?
We don't have those dates yet.
And for 13th Street Garage?
And the garages, we're just waiting for those quotes to come in.
Okay, and then the Bandshell, any dates?
No, nothing yet. We're, again, coordinating that expansion project with CIP.
So why don't we move this to the June 3rd meeting so that we can get some dates, so it's not left up in the air?
And if I may, Madam Chair, this is so exciting. I love bringing color to some of our historic buildings. And you pointed something that's very important. When we look at Spanish Revival buildings, you have to consider a different palette for Spanish Revival. Or even when you're looking at some of the Miami modern architecture that we have throughout the city, you're perhaps looking at a different color palette. And so to the extent that we're doing the Leonard Horowitz color palette, I think it's important to pinpoint that specifically for Art Deco buildings. And I think that that's truly where we can see the beauty of that architecture be highlighted by placing this palette on it. I will just also put for the record, I have a little bit of hesitation with Ocean Rescue, with how that came out. However, art is art, and this is, I believe, an artistic expression. And I don't always need to like it to make it right. And so I embrace it. I think it's very unique. It's not what I would have thought of. I thought the building actually was very interesting and white, and perhaps it just needed some accents. But I just want to be mindful of some of the other styles of architecture. You know, perhaps this palette might not be the most appropriate for it.
Thank you.
Okay, so see you on June 3rd with that one. Number 4.
Item number 4 is discussion regarding the installing a memorial plaque on 41st and Pine Tree Drive to honor Rabbi Stern. This item was sponsored by Mayor Minor, and Facilities and Fleet will be presenting.
Ron, do you want to give us an update?
Really, it's just for discussion, really, to make sure the committee is comfortable with the opportunity that Mayor Minor pushed forward.
And if I may, Madam
Absolutely.
Chair, you know, Rabbi Stern played such an important part of the Eruv here in Miami Beach, and I think it's one of those things. It's almost an asset that we have in Miami Beach that has such an importance, even for tourism. The amount of Orthodox tourists that come to Miami Beach and make us their destination, because this Eruv exists. And that's part of the contributions that Rabbi Stern made to our city and to Jewish life in our community. And so I'm proud to support Mayor Minor's proposal to install a plaque in his honor at 41st Street.
I second that. I also am happy to support it. I know that he was a distinguished Torah scholar, a spiritual leader, an author, and he really influenced our community and many other communities across the United States. So we'll move that.
Great. Next, we have item number 6, discuss a potential parking program with discounted parking rates for educational institutions and education-related organizations. This item is sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez and co-sponsored by Commissioner Bott, and parking will be presenting this item.
Madam Chair, let's continue this item to next month, please. I want to be able to work a little bit on the item. I'm sorry, Mrs. Staff.
Okay.
Item number 23 will be an update on city bike program. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez, and parking will be giving an update.
Okay, wonderful. And is the commissioner online? Has there been any public comment on anything? Okay, Commissioner, let's acknowledge her.
PJ, can we acknowledge Commissioner Bott, please? Commissioner.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I actually had raised my hand to speak on the item, the Hulaniki painting item. I would just register my concern about the band shell being painted in those colors, and I think there should be some additional conversation before we proceed on that. I share my colleague's concern about the outcome of the paint job on the rescue headquarters. I think it was maybe a little bit more, and I think that some of the architectural detail gets lost in the new paint color scheme. So I would just like to be a bit mindful as we go through things that are maybe a little less typical than traditional just Art Deco buildings next to each other, things that really stand out that are freestanding, like the Ocean Rescue Building and the band shell, which is not Art Deco at all. I think there should be conversations before we proceed to paint on walls on those items, on those facilities.
Thank you. Good, excellent points, Commissioner Bott.
So I'll just reread the item update on expanding city bike program, and parking will be presenting this item, and it was sponsored by Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez.
Okay, Willie.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Fernandez. So this is just an update. So we are looking at the expansion of the Deco Bike program in certain areas on the beach where there may be the correct docking stations that are lacking, or they may lack some inventory. Two of the areas are going to be the Indian Creek area on Collins Avenue. The challenges there are, it is already a very tight parking area, and these docking stations take up about 2 parking spaces. So we are working with our transportation partners and talking with FDOT to look at hash marked areas that may be hash marked not due to safety concerns on the FDOT right of way. But we do feel that we'll be able to find sufficient space, whether it's for the large two docking stations or just one, that will be able to expand into this area. And then kind of a piggyback right onto the band shell, we recognize that the Ocean Terrace pedestrian walkway should be nearing completion. And so we look at that as a possible ideal place to expand up by the Bandshell area in the North Beach Market because it connects right there to the beach walk. And so it'll be a great natural place for bike stands.
Thank you, and I agree with you on Indian Creek being problematic to take away parking spaces in an area where they need it so badly. Have you been working with the MBNA, Mid-Beach Neighborhood Association? I'm happy to connect you because you really should be in touch with them. It's something that I know they'll want to give input on as well.
Perfect. We will make that. We were very lucky because our director may happen to live very close to that area, the director of transportation, and has given us insight on his experiences living in the neighborhood.
Right. Okay, since there's still decisions and things going on, why don't we bring this back to July?
Absolutely.
Fine with that?
Yes, excellent.
Okay, with that, we'll move to number 24.
Item number 24 is consider holding monthly community activations for residents on West Lots number 4 between 82nd and 83rd Street. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez, co-sponsored by Commissioner Ball, and Parks and Rec will be presenting the item.
Vice Chair Fernandez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a few months ago, the city held an event on the West Lots to consider how to activate these West Lots, what would be the future of these West Lots. From my perspective, the West Lots should be recreational space for the community to enjoy, almost an extension of the North Beach Oceanside Park. But the great outcome of this community event that was held at the West Lot was the amount of community itself that came out, that just met each other, that was engaging, enjoying the space, enjoying the activity that the city had organized for them. And it was a very common sense, basic thing. The best temporary use, at least, for the space, let's open it up to the public. Let's have community events. Let's bring the community together and bring people together. And so from there emerged the idea of having a monthly community activation for residents in this West Lot between 82nd and 83rd Streets. So that at least once a month, there's something that the city is producing there while we work on the permanent long-term activation. And so with that, I'd like to recognize our Assistant Director of the Parks Department, Cindy Casanova, to present the item.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioner Fernandez. Cindy Casanova, Assistant Director for the Parks Department. The item before you, as Commissioner Fernandez stated, is to consider hosting monthly activations on the West Lot between 82nd and 83rd Street. As the Commissioner mentioned, we hosted a very successful community picnic in February of 2025. Had about 100 to 200 folks that came out to enjoy family-friendly activations such as bounce houses, face painting, food, and music. So building off of that success, if there's an appetite to do so, the Parks Department is able to continue hosting monthly or quarterly activations similar in nature with elements such as our Imagination Playground, large format games, snow cones, popcorns, music, you name it, we can do it. We can also look to partner with our police and fire departments to do thematic events such as Police Day or Fire Department Day, work with the PAL to do some block parties. So the activities that we can host are endless. These are relatively inexpensive activations to budget for. Roughly it would cost us about $2,200 an event. So if we wanted to do something like that monthly, we would be looking at an annual impact of about $24,600, or we could do them quarterly if we want to keep the cost down. But at any rate, we're open to do it, and we're happy to build off of that success.
I would say, frankly, the cost is kind of low from my perspective. If there could be the way, and I would welcome the feedback of my colleague, to perhaps do them twice a month. I don't know if the Parks Department has capacity to do that. I don't want to overextend staff, and I always like to recognize staff, the dedication of city staff in our government who dedicate and sacrifice time after hours to attend community meetings and in the weekends to attend community events. It is a significant dedication of our city staff. And so I'm just wondering, would the department have the capacity to be able to do perhaps an activation twice a month?
I think monthly would work better. I think
So let's
doing-
stick with that. Let's
Yeah,
stick
I
with
think
that.
doing it twice a month, it might wear off.
Okay.
I like the monthly activation because I think it'll just generate excitement, and more people would probably tend to come out to that.
I love it.
Awesome.
So could we move this, Madam Chair, any suggestion, any feedback you have?
No, I agree with you completely, and move it to the full commission.
Sounds great.
Yeah, and I'll do a quick little plug if I'm allowed to do so. On Sunday, May 18th, we're having the Mayor's Chess Challenge at the Scott Ray Cow Youth Center. Many thanks to Cindy and John and team for getting it done. It'll be from 10 to about 1 o'clock.
Yep.
And that there'll be activities, not just chess related, but the ice skating rink is open and the bowling, and should be lots of fun this Sunday.
Yep, come out and see us. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Our next item will be item number 7, discussion regarding an installation of a bust of General Don Jose San Martin at the Normandy Fountain Plaza. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Rosa Gonzalez and will be presented by Parks and Rec.
Okay, let's defer this until she is available to speak on the item. I know she was passionate about it, and I wouldn't want to take that away from her.
I think item number 7 and 25 should be deferred until she.
Item number 25, she requested to defer, and item number 14.
Okay.
So we will move on to number 8.
Yes?
Item number 8 is discuss potentially purchasing portable ticket printers for the issuance of uniform traffic citations. This item was sponsored by the mayor, and the police department will be presenting the item.
Wonderful. And I know that in discussions, I've been told that the police have this and it's available for all officers. I'm really happy about this. Hi, would you like to share,
Hello,
Garcia?
Madam Chair. Major Eric Garcia for Police Tech Services Division. Yes, since 2012, we began our first electronic citation program, and since that time, we've been issuing portable citation printers to the officers. They work with laptops and now cell phones, and they definitely enhance mobility and efficiency, and we have a very healthy inventory at this point in time. We don't really, not requesting any additional funds.
Okay, this is amazing. Is the mayor on or anyone from his team for comment?
No one's on right now.
Okay, wonderful. We'll close out this item.
Thank you.
Our next item is item number 10, discuss a long-term public safety plan for the Baywalk. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez, co-sponsored by Commissioner Dominguez, and police will be presenting the.
Hi, Captain Lozano, how are you?
Good morning, how are you, ma'am?
One quick thing before you get into the item. I did notice that there was people at the pedestrian bridge today on Purdy Avenue, officers, because of the number of complaints that have been sent in about scooters and bikes and motorcycles going over the bridge and presenting pedestrian danger. So thank you for taking action.
I was there myself yesterday morning as well.
Yeah, thank you. And so with that, what's the safety plan for the Baywalk?
So with the new construction of the Baywalk that's potentially going to connect throughout different areas of the city, we came up with 4 options. The first option we have is having 2 officers, basically hiring 2 officers to be assigned specifically to the entire Baywalk, either on foot, on bike, or in a car that can maneuver back and forth through the different portions of the Baywalk that would provide the best customer service, public safety, and enhance quality of life. So it would mimic basically the schedules of the different beat officers that we have. It would be like a swing shift type schedule, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and it would cover both sides of the week. That option would be a potential cost of a starting salary combined of $144,000. That's for 2 officers. Keep in mind the Baywalk is open from sunrise to sunset, or each property has gates that are locked up when it's closed. So there shouldn't be any people on the Baywalk going back and forth through the different properties.
And what was the amount
144 roughly,
annually?
yes. That's for 2 police officers. That would be a starting salary. That's not to say that 2 brand new police officers will be assigned there.
Right. And is this something that can be done from the existing budget? So for example, if analyzing the city, if there are officers in other locations that may not be needed, moving them to the Baywalk?
Yeah, that would have to go through our staffing personnel with budgeting to see where we have allocated resources. For now, we are down officers. We're working to pick
How
that
many?
up. I don't know the exact number.
I know for like 4 years, it's been 38.
It's about 17, but we're getting close
Okay.
to it.
And I want to actually thank the chief, because I know the chief has been very focused on
Oh, yeah.
filling those vacancies, and I know he's been leading on a charge to, and we have, I think, officers being sworn in next week.
Yes, sir.
How many?
I believe
Like
I don't know.
16?
I have it on my calendar. It's
11.
It's
11.
a good amount that came
11,
from
11.
different
So
departments from,
it's great. When I look at the fiscal impact of the different options that are presented to us, either two officers with 1 overlap day, or 2 security guards, or 2 park rangers, when you consider that, the difference in cost is about $29,000. If for a difference in cost, I can either have security guards or police officers, I'd rather go with the police officers, with sworn personnel. I don't understand how it is for security guards, the cost is so high.
And then the park rangers, like, I would look at option 4, because I wouldn't be looking to expand the budget even more. I'd be concerned about the fiscal impact. I'd want to use existing resources. What do you think about that?
What is the recommendation of the police department?
The recommendation would be going with option 1. The downside to option 4, it would be our current staffing.
We're going to be pulling away from other areas.
Correct.
And this is where we need to be mindful when we build new infrastructure.
Correct.
When we build new infrastructure, we need to start a mechanism by which we consider, okay, as part of the operation and maintenance is also the safety of this new infrastructure. And so I just don't feel comfortable pulling away from another area to provide safety for a new area that we didn't have before. And so maybe we can do a hybrid of maybe 1 police officer and 1 park ranger to reduce costs a little bit. I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, there's definitely a possibility of doing a combination of these options here. We can do certain days of the week covering with police officers, maybe even off-duty services.
Because the thing is, with the park rangers, they won't be able to enforce the issues that the police officers would be able to enforce.
Correct, but it would be similar to what they do in Loomis Park, for example. They encounter people, they engage with either trespassers, people fishing, or people doing things that are not what they're not supposed to be doing. They notify us if they can't handle it, and we respond.
I'm going to show you something that happened on the Baywalk.
Yes. Yes. I feel that what should be happening is that the beach walk, if we're going to be investing on the beach walk, not the beach walk, the Baywalk, in terms of security, it's a great investment for the area. And perhaps it can serve not only the Baywalk, but can serve West Avenue and Bay Road as well, so that we maximize that investment that we're making there. And I don't know if how that would work. I don't know if from your perspective that makes any sense.
In my opinion, yes, it does.
Because I do know that the area is asking for more police resources on certain times. I think right now we have a unique circumstance with the presence of the Bikini Hostel, and so there is a presence of police there at the Bikini Hostel when the area residents in fact feel that there should be, the presence should be more spread out throughout the area. And so we anticipate hopefully soon no longer have the situation of the Bikini Hostel. But if we make an enhancement for the Baywalk, we might get more out of our investment if we don't limit them to the Baywalk and we allow them into the neighborhood.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Should we move this to the full commission
Yes.
for discussion?
So perhaps we could move option 1 to the full commission?
Discussing option 1 and a hybrid.
And a hybrid, sure.
And
Let's
then
do that.
we'll see what the group decides.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Number 9.
Our next item is item number 9, discuss the potential reappeal of the city's red light camera ordinance. This was sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez, and this will be presented by Police.
Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is this is an item I placed on the agenda because I feel that the red light cameras have an intended purpose of creating a safer environment, when in fact what I've witnessed myself living in front of a red light camera is that it's constantly causing accidents. People rush to stop for the red light camera, and then there's a collision as a result of it. I know other cities have looked to address this. Other cities have repealed the red light cameras. And so I would like to hear from the police department. I'd like to hear from the city attorney's office about the feasibility of repealing it, where the police department would stand on that, and what we can legally do to get this done.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioner. Sergeant Price with the PD's Accident Investigation Unit, which also covers the hit and run program. I'm sorry, the red light camera program. So yes, we would love to keep our red light program. It serves multiple purposes outside of citing drivers for running the light. This program has also been beneficial to other units in our agency, as far as the Criminal Investigations Division. In the past, we have helped other units catch wanted subjects, you name it, homicide subjects, subjects of warrants. The red light cameras do assist with the reduction of crime in that manner. But also, we're able to just track the problems in our areas too, citywide, where we do have the cameras, traffic-wise. Our equipment right now that we have is slowly dying because the equipment is so outdated. It's so antiquated that the vendor is having a hard time finding parts to actually fix the cameras whenever they go down. So we do have a new contract in place that's been pending since, I want to say, 2022. We have 2 locations built out thus far at 17 and Wash. However, permitting issues have been keeping us from advancing with the other locations. So,
but we have 2 locations right now.
We do have 2 locations.
And the other location?
So we don't have any other locations up and running right now with the new equipment.
Okay.
That would be built out from the new contract. So we're still working on permitting, and it's not really any fault of ours. We have to work with FDOT. We have to get permission through the county, and that's been taking a very long time. So the vendor, we have weekly meetings. They're trying their best to execute and get these locations up and running. But it's the agency's decision to keep the cameras if we could. We love the cameras. We just feel like it's such an enhancement to public safety.
If this is something that the police department feels strongly about, if it relates more than just the red light tickets and it's an enhancement for other aspects of public safety, then I'll withdraw this item out of respect to your work and to your recommendation.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right.
Number 20, item number 26.
Item number 26, discuss improvements including cleanliness, abandoned conditions of Everglades Court in North Beach. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez and co-sponsored by Commissioner Bott. Public Works will be presenting the item.
Commissioners, good morning.
Good morning.
The item before you is in relation to Everglades Court. Everglades Court is basically it's a, let's call it a right-of-way, an alley. It's a grassed alley, gravel alley. It's not maintained. It's one of the few right-of-ways, if you will, that is not paved within the city. There has been request over time to look at this alley. Once upon a time, it was looked at to see if it could be turned into a green alley as a pilot project. There was money allocated to that, but it was later removed. So this alleyway, if you will, has sort of fallen by the wayside in a bit of disrepair. And what is before you is a recommendation to include in the budget process a upgrade of that alley, looking at, improving the alleyway with sod, with some grass, really beautifying the area and returning it to something that is an integral part of the neighborhood as opposed to its current neglected state.
Okay, so let me just ask you, so what is being done in the short term to clean this alley?
So what has been done in the short term, they, with the assistance of code, they've gone up and just made sure that there has not been any illegal dumping or dumping in there. I believe Green Space has gone up and done some cutting of the overgrowth and the brush that was impeding the alleyway. And I think that's about what has been done at this point in time.
Okay, all right. Are we doing regular maintenance in that alleyway?
They are doing regular sweeps in there to make sure that it is being kept clean and free of litter and debris.
Okay. I went by there yesterday because I had to go to a neighborhood association meeting close by, and I noticed that the area is starting to get regrown. The grass is getting a little bit overgrown, and it seemed like it needed some attention again. The recommendation of the administration is a request for funding, which funding for irrigation, regrading of the soil, new sod, and landscape maintenance. $18,000 to cover landscape maintenance for a year. We don't have already funding to do that landscape maintenance in the alleyway?
The majority of your landscape maintenance that's performed by the city as far as cutting grass and the like is typically outsourced. That's where that price came up from. So it's done by an outside contractor on a rotating basis.
And $62,000 for an irrigation system.
Yeah.
What type of, it just seems to me like a lot of money to invest on an irrigation system in an alleyway where you only have sod. And the sod seems to be growing pretty well. It seems like what we need more there is like more hands going through that alleyway and just doing more regular maintenance in there.
If that is the will or the desire, I mean, what was looked at here was how do you make it into more of a passive recreational area? And the only way to really do that is to introduce sod or a grass surface, but the only way to really maintain the grass there is especially during the dry months, is to have irrigation to keep it, keep it wet.
Yeah. The issue is we're not experiencing dead sod there. To the contrary, the sod is growing and it's growing very quickly. Maybe we can work on this item a little bit more. We can keep this item here. We can bring it back next month so that we can work a little bit more on this item. Because I think really what we need, number one, I think right now it's an underutilized area. It's a space that that is pretty big. It's a long space, but right now it's underutilized. And part of the reason why I believe it's underutilized is because it's just overgrown. I even seen needles back there. I seen furniture abandoned there. I seen overgrown landscaping there, and what we need there is just regular maintenance, and making it just a cleaner environment for the residents who live abutting it. So let's continue the item to next month, Jay, if you don't mind, so that we can work on this a little bit more and bring it back.
Okay, next item is number 13. Before that, I am going to withdraw number 12.
Number 12, okay. Item number 13 is discuss the activations of alleys in South Beach, Art Deco signs, and North Beach Mimo signs. This item is sponsored by Commissioner Bott, will be presented by Public Works, and Commissioner Bott is online.
Commissioner Bott?
Sorry, I was just looking for my little unmute button. Yeah, I'll let Public Works discuss this. I think there's a bigger opportunity to do a pilot program in South Beach than in North Beach. I think the area right now that I had in mind in North Beach might have been addressed a little bit. So I'd like to focus this for now on South Beach and see how it goes. Having said that, though, I will just keep a door open, because if the Normandy Fountain Business Association is interested in collaborating, I think that would be a terrific pilot for North Beach. But basically, the idea is to activate alleys that are currently nasty, not a nice place for people to walk and cut through. They are unsafe. They're not well lit. There's all kinds of sort of weird water standing around. And so I've done a number of walkthroughs with our Public Works Department staff, and we've been talking about how to address those items, those issues. But the enhancement would be to sort of do something like the alley that adjoins the Betsy. Not to that degree, of course. I'm not talking about putting in giant art installations, but working with the neighborhood businesses to illuminate the alleys with signs and lighting that draws on the heritage of the neighborhoods, to try to make the alleys a more inviting, safer space for residents.
Okay, Jay.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, and as was stated by Commissioner Bott, it's really about how do we clean up, activate the alley from its present conditions. The current issue with the alleys, especially towards South Beach, are the drainage. There's no, typically these alleys do not have any drainage. There's it's configured in such that there's a valley drain, or I don't want to say gutter, it's more like a trough in the middle of the alley, so that the water is collected. And then because there's no drainage structures back there, that typically runs to either north or south. And what compounds that is not only the age, which sometimes impedes the water flowing out of the alley, and then you have maybe there's been some work, some settlement or the like. And as well, you're in the back of the house, if you will, of a number of hotels or other establishments where things get washed out. There's AC lines that are dripping back there. So you do get this never-ending area of puddled water, any trash that gets deposited or blown around there will get caught up, get wet, stick around for a while. The alleys are serviced with the sanitation crews that go through there to pick up the trash. We are working with sanitation and trying to see what the street sweepers will do as far as a regular maintenance sweep of those alleys, so that any trash that's collected, it will pick it up. Any water that's standing, it will either brush that out of the way or collect some of that. But what's really needed is trying to put the alleys, especially those that do not have good drainage, back on a resurfacing program so that we can get that water to shed out of the alley, so it's no longer sitting there and stagnating, if you will. There is a fair amount of lighting within those alleys, but it's really based on what telephone poles are there, what lighting can be affixed to that. And if there were sort of block by block, property by property assistance in being able to establish lighting attached to properties to illuminate their back doors, backyards, if you will, then I think the collective opportunity will go a long way.
Okay, Commissioner Bott?
So I would like to bring this back in a few months to see where we are,
Okay.
maybe in September.
Okay, September sounds good, and I believe we have public comment, and then we can move to the next item.
Hi, yeah, we have Larry Schaefer. Larry Schaefer, you have 2 minutes.
Hi, good afternoon. On this item, I am so delighted that the administration is taking a look at how to improve the alleys up here in North Beach, Collins Court. We live on this alley between Collins and Harding on 81st Street, and we have some lighting there. It's very inconsistent. They have different style poles. We have some that's very industrial. Right now, I'm looking at one that looks like it's from the Victorian era, it's just rationalizing the look and increasing illumination would go a long way to deterring crime and create more aesthetically appealing alleyways. I am using LED lighting in my own art, LED neon rope lighting art. So perhaps the administration would like to look at, if you want to go faster, if you want new lighting, there are some new solar that may work. And offline talk to staff about those. And finally, I'd like to congratulate Commissioner Fernandez on being a good boy and going down and filing those papers to run for commissioner again. And we were thinking that you might be maybe running for something else, but we're happy that you are running again. And also Commissioner Dominguez, we're glad that you filed as well. And we look forward to a wonderful election year.
Thank you. So I will mark that to return in September.
And thank you, Larry.
Okay, so 12 is withdrawn, 27 is deferred.
14 is deferred, and then we're going to hear item 15, which is discuss extending installations of white dividing pavers to the remaining areas of the beach walk. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez, and Public Works will be presenting this item.
Okay, Vice Chair Fernandez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is an item that I placed on the agenda to discuss the extension of the white dividing pavers along the beach walk in the areas where they're currently not present. Right now, I believe they I believe they currently extend from 25th to 64th Street. Is that right, Jay? The pavers?
So the paver, the dividing line was installed by CIP from 24th to 45th, and then again from 47th to 64th.
Right.
And then there's probably a few other scattered areas that were abutting new developments where they rebuilt the beach walk. Those were also installed.
Okay, and so, and in those areas that you just mentioned, those are the areas where we actually cut into the brick and put in a white paver to divide the northbound and the southbound directions. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and then in the other areas, they came in and they installed, something on the surface. Is almost like something that's used on asphalt.
It's correct, Commissioner.
What's that called?
With transportation, did have a contractor come out and basically use a thermoplastic, it's a tape, so it adheres to the top of the pavers. And I think that was done because with the surface of pavers, you can't really use thermoplastic paint because the paint will then get into the crevices, if you will, of the paver, and it won't have a nice, neat delineation, a nice, neat marking, which is why the tape was utilized.
And I'm sorry, and can you repeat again why the tape was used? I'm sorry?
Because of the surface, and I can defer to Jose, but my understanding is because of the surface of the paver is it's not smooth. It's got imperfections with it. So when you pour, the thermoplastic goes down as a paint, so it's poured in, if you will, at a very high temperature, then it solidifies. Well, that doesn't leave for very attractive straight edges because it would tend to move or, flow with wherever those crevices are. So when you look at it, it's there, but the edges won't be clearly defined. That's why if you go with a tape, it's very defined marking, so it's a much better aesthetically pleasing performance.
Okay, so we did the thermoplastic over the tape.
No, it's
we did the tape.
thermoplastic tape.
Thermoplastic tape. Okay, thermoplastic tape. So we did that. Why didn't we consider doing what we did between 24th and 65th Street, which was what really does look done correctly? It just looks sharp, it looks clean, it looks consistent with the style of the beach walk, which is paver material. Why didn't we go into those areas, and instead of doing this tape, why didn't we go in and cut in the surface and install this dividing brick?
Well, first and foremost, Commissioner, the budget. We were limited to a budget of approximately $200,000. That was a result of an enhancement, a budget enhancement. So the difference in cost is significant between applying thermoplastic paint and replacing pavers along the center line. As a matter of fact, we have a preliminary cost estimate of what it would cost to install pavers.
How much would it cost to install the pavers?
The estimated cost is $900,000 to install the pavers in the areas that currently do not have it.
Okay, $900,000, okay. And we're talking about the full extent of the beach walk?
The full extent, correct.
Okay, so this is what I want us to consider. This is the image of our city. When visitors come to Miami Beach, they come to experience something unique that the rest of Miami-Dade County doesn't have. And that many other communities in South Florida, while they might be coastal, they might not have a beautiful beach walk like the one that the city of Miami Beach has. And I think it is one of our greatest assets. It's one of the things I love the most about our city is our beach walk. Being able to go to this beautiful infrastructure that we have, one of the most successful shared use paths, what is it, Jose, in the state?
Yes.
One of the most successful shared use paths in the state of Florida. We have it right here in the city of Miami Beach. And it abuts where our residents live. And it attracts tourism. And it's our backyard. And I think we should do this and maintain it in a way that shows that we are proud of this infrastructure. And I think this is one of these areas where, while you may have a cheap option that might be the tape, this is the area of our city where we shouldn't go on the cheap. And if we can plan and fund to go in and start funding in our capital program to start cutting in and replacing that tape with actual bricks so that it looks clean, it looks finished, it looks like that brick has always been part of the design of it, is what we should be doing to really elevate this beautiful asset that we have. How can we start incorporating this into our capital program? Because it is a lot of money. It is $900,000, but perhaps consider that it's something that we don't have to do all in one fiscal year. Perhaps we start budgeting it in our capital plan so that we might not have to incur the entire $900,000 in fiscal year 26, but we can start going in and doing this.
That would certainly be an approach, Commissioner, to try to phase this in. And over time, the beach walk was not built in a day. It's taken decades
looks
to
good.
build the beach walk. So, you know, to improve it with these white centerline pavers, we may take a similar approach. I think I'm going to defer to our CIP Director, David Gomez, to see if that would be a good approach.
David Gomez, Director of CIP. We can arrange to schedule it however the commission desires. There are a collection of different materials on the beach walk. Some of it's pavers, some of it's concrete. So that just has to be coordinated, but it's not an obstacle to proceeding with your direction.
I think the way that you have it along Mid-Beach, in the Mid-Beach corridor, north of 24th Street, you guys went in and it looks well finished. And in fact, I think that the Mid-Beach Neighborhood Association may have sent a memo regarding this. I know they've been very vocal about this in the past. And while the infrastructure might seem common sense, it does help. I think there's been an improvement in safety and pedestrian safety having this delineator. But doing it right is important. This is the image of our city, and we want our residents to take pride in our city and the infrastructure that we deliver for them. But most importantly, we want those visitors that come and experience our city to see that we took attention to detail, that we just didn't put a tape there, that we actually did it right. Because I think people do notice when we don't do it right.
If I could clarify for the record, in the sections in Mid-Beach where the pavers were installed, it was installed in the portions of the beach walk that were solid pattern. There wasn't a decorative pattern in the pavers. Those sections that had the decorative pattern, we did not install the white stripes. So that's something to consider, especially further south where the patterns become more decorative. There's a lot more waveform towards the south. So it's just a matter of laying it out and making sure that we get it done correctly.
And this is where you guys are the experts and deliver beautiful products for our residents. So how do we start planning as part of the fiscal year 26 capital budget to be able to do segments and progress with this? And I understand it might not be prudent to do the entirety of the beach walk in one fiscal year, but how can we start doing segments so we can plan this?
My suggestion would be to return an item to commission asking to add it to the capital budget process. And then how we divide it up is something to be discussed.
Okay, and perhaps we can do two segments, so that we, so we start fiscal year 26 and then we finish in the following fiscal year.
Okay.
All right, so, Madam Chair, are you comfortable with that?
When should it come back?
Well, we're gonna send this to commission.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
We're gonna send this to commission for a referral to incorporate this into the capital budget to install the divided pavers by segments starting in fiscal year 26.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Commissioner Fernandez?
Yes.
Through the chair?
Yes.
I would like to be a co-sponsor if you would have me.
Always welcome, and it's a pleasure to always collaborate with you, Commissioner Bond. You have done such great work as it relates to our beach walk, and seeing you out there with staff analyzing the needs of it is, you really have taken tremendous leadership. And so I really appreciate your co-sponsorship.
Thank you.
Okay, then I think the last item for today.
We have two more.
Two
We
more
have-
items,
yeah, We'll
okay.
do 16 and then the last one.
Okay,
Number 16 is discuss the maintenance of existing crosswalks along the need for installation of additional crosswalks in North Beach. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Dominguez and Commissioner Ball.
yeah, and so my aide Julian lives up on 73rd and Byron, and he knows North Beach very well, and indicated some need for additional crosswalks in the area. So that's this item here, and I'd love to hear from city staff.
You want to start? We'll start with the maintenance.
All right. Well, we'll break this down, Commissioner, into two items, one being the maintenance and then the other being new crosswalks. The maintenance of the crosswalks itself, if it's on a state road, and there are quite a few in North Beach, that would fall into DOT. For other roads that are in the city, actually the county Department of Transportation does the painting of the crosswalks. The city would petition the county if we are noticing that a crosswalk needs to be repainted. And then that would then go to the county. The county would send staff, investigate it, and if deemed appropriate, then they would go ahead and put a work order in to have that crosswalk repainted. We are proposing that over the course of the next couple of months, that in the summer that we being Department of Public Works would have assign a team to go up and investigate, review, check out all of the crosswalks in North Beach area and develop that list of where we see deficiencies so that we can forward it on to the county for consideration for repainting.
All right.
So we should keep this here to see what the county responds?
Absolutely.
That's part one.
That's only part one, the maintenance of the existing crosswalks. And then we work closely with FDOT to try to identify opportunities for new crosswalks. Specifically in North Beach, there's 3 different efforts that are focused on improving pedestrian safety and adding crosswalks in the area of North Beach. I could go into details on specific locations. They're part of the memorandum, but there's going to be, at least about a dozen locations where crosswalks are being evaluated or currently in design already. Crosswalks do require a traffic analysis in order to determine if they're warranted or not. Although they're a good measure for pedestrian safety, we can't place them everywhere. And there's a lot of considerations that need to be taken into account when determining whether or not a crosswalk is warranted and if it is safe to install at a certain location. And so
Does the July meeting give us enough time to get some answers?
Well, these are projects that are ongoing, Commissioner, that FDOT is actively working on. We can provide updates. Probably month to month would be a bit too frequent because these are projects that take years sometimes, whether it's an analysis or a design, it will take some time. So maybe a quarterly update would be more appropriate.
Okay, so do you want this to come back in September?
Yes, I think September would work.
Through the chair?
Yes.
Could I just ask that the team that's going through to evaluate the crosswalks also make note of these street signs? As we've been doing these North Beach walkthroughs with staff, we've noticed that a lot of the street signs themselves are peeling and insufficient. And there's a question about whether or not FDOT is having supplier issues or whatever. But we've noticed it in an ad hoc way. But if crosswalks are being evaluated in a more comprehensive way, I would ask that they also look for the signage so that we can make the request at the same time.
Wonderful.
Certainly.
All right, so we'll bring that to the September committee meeting. And then now we'll go to our last item, number 20.
Item number 20 is consider naming the Fifth Street pedestrian bridge after late Commissioner Mark Samulin. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Bott and co-sponsored by Commissioner Fernandez, and Transportation will be presenting the item.
Okay, Commissioner Bott.
Well, I think there's really not much that I need to say to tee this up. Mark Samulin was a huge champion of the Fifth Street pedestrian bridge and the Baywalk, and I think that this is a suiting tribute for the late commissioner. And with that, I will let our colleagues on staff present.
Thank you, Commissioner, and through the chair. So our city code outlines the process for co-naming or co-designation of streets. However, our current code does not allow for bridges. Bridges are simply, our code is silent in terms of co-designating or co-naming bridges. So one of the first steps that would need to be taken after this body takes action on this item is to amend our code, and as we know, that requires two readings of an ordinance at City Commission. And then this particular location of Fifth Street is part of FDOT right-of-way, so there's an added level, a jurisdictional level, if you will, and that's, we would need to work with the State of Florida Department of Transportation to also somehow memorialize the Fifth Street Bridge, which will be over their right-of-way. And specifically, we would also need to work with the state legislature to introduce a bill that would allow the memorializing the bridge in honor of the late Commissioner Samuelin.
Okay. Commissioner Vice Chair Fernandez.
Well, I think it's, this is about honoring a legacy, and it was such an honor to sit on this dais alongside Mark Samuelian, who was a passionate public servant who embodied the best of what we strive to be. So whatever it is that we need to do, if it's amending the code, let's amend the code. If we need to include something in our legislative package to ask Tallahassee for support, we should ask for support, because when someone led with thoughtfulness, with principle, with relentless commitment of putting residents first, then it's now our time to put his name first on that bridge above all else. So happy to support this item and guide us. I'll count on staff to guide the sponsor and I through the process.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's the direction that we would need in order to proceed at both the municipal level as well as the state level.
So you need a motion going back to commission with that direction?
Yes, please.
I think you can show it adopted by acclamation,
Yeah.
probably.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, before I adjourn the meeting, another reminder, Sunday, May 18th at the Scott Rakow Center, Mark was very instrumental in bringing the Mayor's Chess Challenge to Miami Beach, and it is going to be from 10 a.m. until about 1 o'clock, and other activities at Scott Rakow will be open as well. Looking forward to seeing everyone there. Congrats to my colleague, and I hope everyone has a great afternoon.
Thank you.